Bring your stegos, bring your illegal races, NMAX, this tower was built for all of them. I've tweaked the weak points, kept what's already working, and turned this into a tower that stands like a unit. So without much talking, I would say we're getting straight into it. Let's go. So starting off, we built a 15 by 15 foundation with a hole in the middle for the generator later, and then we're gonna build up the walls 16 high and fill in the whole cage. When you build the walls on the foundations, make sure that they're all in one level and not like this. If your foundation is slightly higher, add thin pillars like I do it over here, and then build the walls just like this, and then later sink them into the ground to close the holes. When you got that done, your cage will look like this, and to give it even more stability, we want to insert some thin pillars into the corners, and I actually forgot that, so I did that later, but here's how you do that. So 2 pillars in the sides are already enough, and then you can start building either a pillar roof like this, or if you want to do the vault roof, you're gonna install textile doors, 1 double door frame below the highest double door frame, just like I do it over here. And then we're gonna start placing a layer of thatch where we're gonna place the vaults later on top of. So for the vaults, I actually made a template which you can grab for free on my Discord, so join the Discord. And from there you're gonna make a basically pattern that is a vault, then a vault gap, and another vault, and I'm gonna show that right now over here. So pick these ones back up. You have 30 seconds to do that, so you always place a few vaults and then start picking the vaults in between up, and do that for the whole layer. When you got the whole layer, do not destroy the thatch by the button, but use a tool, because if you don't use a tool, it will destroy all the vaults as well, give you half of the resources. When that's done, make the textile doors invisible, and you have a perfectly floating vault roof like this one. Now we want to build the core of the tower. For that you build a 3x3 core and put the pattern for your turrets in the thatch on top of it. And in the hole we're gonna put a generator, obviously text generator. Fill it with element, turn it on, and insert the element as intake, so that a bot later can refill it even if there are vaults dropped on top of it. Now to thatch ceilings, and in the middle of the middle thatch ceiling, you want to put the corner of a vault just like this, and then add 3 more vaults so that you can perfectly vault drop the generator. And if you want to, you can also do that twice to have 2 basically layers of vaults on top of it. I'm gonna stay with one over here though. Drop it again with your weapon or tool, and that's your dropped vault generator. So for the distribution, I'm choosing basically 60% text and 40% heavies, and then you replace the thatch walls with double door frames so that they are floating. For our Teslas, we want to install floating Teslas. You need to just install cellar doors into the corners, and then a little quarter ceiling next to that one cellar door. And then on the bottom, you're gonna put the Tesla, and on top of that thing, you're gonna put the beehive turret, and that's perfectly flying in the corner. And when you copy it to all sides, you have basically all the turrets that you need on the tower and the Teslas. Now we want to start with the roof. For that, sink pillars into 2 sides of the top cage, like I do over here, so the front and the back, or the left and the right side. And then when you want to install the railings, I suggest building a thatch floor where you can walk on. And now comes the very annoying part. You need to find the right snap points for the railings to build the roof. If you build the roof to both sides, as you see over here, there's going to be like a little gap in the middle, and it's going to be overlapping a little bit. That's not a problem though. You connect them with a completely flat railing like this, and you do that all over the whole tower. And then we're gonna fill the side walls in with double door frames. And when that is done, you're gonna add a single thin pillar into one side of the double door frame, like this. And then you're gonna use horizontal thin pillars and make 1 pillar going all the way across the tower. Now on top of this tower, we're gonna place more vertical thin pillars on every snap point, which will give us a extra snap point, like you see over here, to the railings. Inside the tower, we're gonna extend the core of the tower through the vault layer, and we're gonna add more turrets at the top part, which you're gonna see in a second, just like this. And I'm also adding a few Teslas on the sides, just to give a bit more protection against flyers. Then you're just gonna connect with 2 thin pillars the core of the tower to the roof part, just to give another snap point to make it even stronger. We now have the main structure placed and want to add on a few features. Starting with the paracer fence. 2 double door frames away from the corner, you're gonna install a bridge of 3 textile doors. That will basically be the connection for a line of railings, which you're gonna install on the bottom side of that thing. And you're gonna drag the railings across the whole tower. On the next wall, you're gonna do the same process, which basically allows us to have 2 snap points on these railings. And to add a second row of railings later, deeper inside the tower, we're gonna also connect the outside of the tower with the core of the tower, just like this. And then you add a second line of railings. To make it even stronger, we're gonna add another layer or multiple layers of bigger cellar doors higher in the tower. That basically will make the tower float later in case they destroy the lower level of double door frames. Before I even built the towers, I did connect them with textile doors and a spam over here. That allows me to now place textile doors higher in the air, which make both towers in the air connected to each other. So if you want to drop one tower, you need to drop both towers. And you see it over here, it's like completely connected now, and it later turns invisible. Now we want to add a circle of mech defense. For that we want to add a circle of thatch foundations around the tower to give foundation support for what we build above. Now we need to go 5 walls high with the textile doors and go 1 circle around the whole tower. Now do that a second time, 5 walls above the first circle of textile doors. And at the edge of that circle of textile doors, you're going to add a circle of thatch ceilings where we're going to place the vaults on top. For the first layer, you want to center the vault in the center of the middle thatch ceiling over here, and then place a vault in the middle of every second thatch ceiling. As you see over here, every second thatch ceiling. And for the second level, you want to push the vault to the edge of the thatch ceiling so that it's basically a little bit overlapping. So when a mech jumps against those things, they will drop down but not drop onto the lower layer of vaults. And when it is done, you can take your tech rifle again and shoot or destroy with a hatchet or whatever the thatch connection so that the vaults drop. And then you have your anti-mech defense and you're just gonna turn the textile doors invisible. One thing I want to test going into this build is BlendX trap. So far, even with their insane slow, they've been pretty useless, mainly because both the BlendX and the cropplot were easy to destroy. With the new tech cropplot that changes, now it's basically just the blend itself. By boxing the blend in, we can make sure raiders can't just shoot them while we are not watching, and during a fight we can also close the box, giving the blend time to heal, which it actually does pretty fast, and then reopen it when we need to slow again. And to make it very easy to open and close the box around the blend, you just use a pin pad, and if all the text levels are pin coded with the same pin code, they open and close by one click on the pin pad. Besides that, you definitely want to install some spam around your tower to block races, and then also have ground turrets inside of your tower, as well as some aggressive timings that can maybe block races that are incoming. We are already through with the video, see you in the next one, bye bye.